Chapter 1: The First Encounter. I never believed in ghost stories. I never thought I'd be that guy scrolling Reddit at 3 a.m., reading about people seeing the Headless Horseman and thinking, yeah, cool story, Halloween vibes. But now, I'm the story. It started last Friday. My friends convinced me to take a road trip upstate to Sleepy Hollow. They said it'd be fun, spooky scenery, Instagram-worthy photos, all that touristy crap. I agreed mostly because I had nothing better to do. We arrived in the town just as the sun was setting, orange light bleeding through the fog like it belonged in some old horror movie. Sleepy Hollow is small, quiet, too quiet. The kind of place where even the wind sounds like it's holding its breath. We spent the evening in the local tavern. Everyone there was friendly enough, but there was a tension in their eyes. They smiled, told us the usual stories, but you could tell they believed the old legends. The Headless Horseman, the vanishing bridge, the cursed forest trails. I laughed it off, of course. I mean, it's 2025. Who even believes in 18th century ghost stories anymore? By midnight, my friends were drunk and decided to head back to our Airbnb. I wasn't tired, so I chose to walk a different route, through the old forest trail that ran along the river. I had headphones on, music low, just the sound of my footsteps and the occasional rustle of leaves. The fog was thicker here, curling around the trees, swallowing the path behind me. That's when I heard it. A soft thump, thump, thump. At first, I thought it was an animal, but the rhythm? It wasn't random. It was deliberate, heavy, slow, closer. I paused, trying to convince myself it was just a deer or maybe a horse from a nearby farm. But there were no farms here, not at this hour. Then I saw it. A black horse, massive, muscular, moving with a precision that was almost unnatural. And the rider? I can't even describe it fully. He wore what looked like an old military uniform, faded and tattered, but that's not the worst part. He had no head, no face, no eyes. I froze. My brain kept screaming run, but my legs refused to obey. The horse stopped a few meters away, hooves pressing into the mud with a weight I could feel in my chest. And the rider? I felt him looking at me. Somehow, some way. I don't know how, but I knew he was staring straight at me. I blinked.
And he was gone. Just like that. No sound, no tracks, nothing. Only the fog rolling over the trail like nothing had happened. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I stumbled backward, tripping over roots, my flashlight clattering to the ground. I got up and ran. I don't even remember exactly how I made it back to the town streets. My phone was dead. I cursed myself for leaving it in the Airbnb. Every shadow seemed like the horseman was following me. I kept glancing over my shoulder, but the fog was thick and there was nothing there. I finally reached the streetlights. The sense of relief I felt was immediate, until I noticed something. The air was heavier. Not just humid, but almost charged, like static before a storm. I could still hear the faint sound of hooves. Thump, thump, thump. I sprinted the last few blocks back to the Airbnb. I slammed the door behind me, locking it twice, my chest heaving. I was shaking uncontrollably, tears stinging my eyes. I laughed, nervously. I laughed to convince myself it was real, that it was just my mind playing tricks on me. But even as I laughed, I heard it. From outside the window. Thump, thump, thump. I ran to the window and peered out. Fog blanketed the street. Shadows stretched unnaturally between the trees. My pulse was in my throat. I told myself again, it's impossible. Ghosts aren't real. This isn't real. But I couldn't stop watching. And then I saw him. The headless rider emerging silently from the fog, moving slowly, methodically toward my building. Not galloping, just walking on that massive horse as if time itself had slowed. I stumbled backward, my mind refusing to accept what I was seeing. I don't know how long I stood there. Seconds? Minutes? Time lost meaning. And then, the figure stopped. Outside my window, hooves sinking slightly into the cobblestone, the rider leaning forward, almost inspecting me. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. My mouth opened, trying to scream, but nothing came out. Then, he turned his horse slowly, melting back into the fog. Every muscle in my body relaxed, only slightly. My heart kept racing. My hands shook as I backed away from the window. I stayed up the rest of the night, watching, listening. Every time I thought I could sleep, I heard it. Hoofbeats, always faint, always outside. Now it's the next morning. The streets of Sleepy Hollow look normal. Tourists are taking pictures, kids are running around, everyone acting like nothing happened. And I'm sitting here writing this on Reddit because I don't know what else to do. I know people will think I'm crazy, that it's just a story, just fog, just fear. But I saw him, I felt him, and I know one thing for certain. He's not done with me.
Chapter 2, The Stalker in the Fog. I should have left Sleepy Hollow the moment I saw him. I should have packed my bag, called a cab, anything. But I didn't. Something kept me here, a mix of morbid curiosity and stubborn disbelief. Last night was worse. I barely slept, my eyes glued to the window. Every creak in the old Airbnb building, every rustle of leaves made me jump. My phone still dead, the battery refusing to hold a charge, as if something was draining it. I kept hearing it. Thump, thump, thump. Faint at first, then closer, echoing through the narrow streets. By 2 a.m., I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed a jacket and went outside. I needed to see it, to prove to myself it wasn't real. The fog was heavier than the night before, curling around street lamps and swallowing the edges of the road. And there he was, the headless rider, on the black horse, emerging from the mist, slow, deliberate. Every step of the hooves pressed into the cobblestone like a drumbeat of doom. My rational mind screamed to run, but I was rooted to the spot, mesmerized. I couldn't look away. He stopped again, about 20 feet from me. I could feel something, a pressure, like the air itself was watching me. I wanted to speak, to call out, but my throat had gone dry. And then I noticed something new. The rider's hand moved slightly, gesturing toward the forest trail. My gut twisted. The stories I'd laughed at on Reddit, the ones people called tourist nonsense, suddenly felt real. Very real. Too real. I had no choice. I followed. The trail swallowed me in darkness and fog. My footsteps were loud, but I swear the horse's hooves never sped up. It was like he was pacing me, leading me, testing me. I wanted to scream, to turn back, but my legs kept moving. Every instinct screamed danger, but my curiosity, my fear-fueled obsession kept me going deeper into the forest. Minutes felt like hours. Every tree seemed alive, shadows reaching toward me. I could hear faint whispers in the wind, like old voices warning me. And then, silence. The rider stopped at a small clearing, a broken stone bridge covered in moss and fog. It looked ancient, abandoned, and yet the air here felt heavier than anywhere else. He turned slightly, or whatever passes for turning, without a head. I could feel his gaze. He knew I was terrified. Suddenly the horse reared, and I stumbled backward. My flashlight caught the glint of something metallic in the fog. A sword? An old musket? I couldn't tell. Everything was distorted, unreal. And then, the impossible happened. I heard a voice, not a normal voice. Hollow, distorted, like a whisper carried on the wind. It said my name, my full name. I froze. How could he know my name? The air grew colder. My breath froze in clouds. And then I realized I wasn't alone. Other shadows emerged from the fog, figures, tall, indistinct, following the headless rider. They didn't move like humans. They glided. Panic surged through me. I ran. Branches scratched my arms and face, roots twisted underfoot, but I ran. The hoofbeats behind me grew louder, closer. I could feel the rhythm of my fear sinking with the horse's steps. I tripped, hard. Pain shot through my ankle. I tried to get up, but my legs refused. And that's when I saw him, closer than ever. The headless rider, looming over me, and for the first time, I felt his presence inside my mind. A cold wave of dread, a pull. Not physical, but mental, emotional, like he was feeding on my fear. I couldn't scream. I couldn't move. All I could do was watch. Then, as suddenly as it started, it stopped. The horse vanished. The fog cleared just enough to reveal the clearing. Empty. Nothing remained. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might burst. I hobbled back to the Airbnb, bloodied and scratched, but alive. I locked the door, turned on every light, and tried to tell myself it was over. But now, the hooves, every night, they come back, faint at first, then louder, pacing around the building. I can feel him outside, waiting, patient, calculating, watching. Reddit, I'm writing this because I don't know who else to tell. I don't know what he wants or why he's chosen me. But I know this, Sleepy Hollow's legend isn't a story, and I don't think I'm leaving this town alive. Every time I close my eyes, I see him, headless, faceless, staring, waiting. And I know he's not done with me.